giving you a voice,
making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
First Updates Now FRC is produced in partnership with the Blue Alliance. Keep up to date on all live and archived First Robotics events and team stats at thebluealliance.com. And by viewers like you. We need your help to keep fun loud, live, and independent. Help us by visiting our Patreon to pledge your support at patreon.com/First Updates Now. You can also support fun live on Twitch for a few bucks a month or by linking your Prime account for free and clicking subscribe.
Hey, tonight on FUNalysis, we're going to break down the FRC games from this past decade and declare a winner. Plus, we got some breakdowns of some key matches from the power-up season, and we're going to find, we're going to try and make 2015 actually interesting. But I like the 2015 game. When we break down the games of the decade, I'm going to talk about how Recycle Rush is actually underrated. Of course, it's underrated because everyone hates it. For First Updates Now, I'm Karthik Kanagasabapathi, and joining us today is our referee extraordinaire, the Coco Eder of reffing from Michigan, and Intimidation host PJ Lualski. Hey, PJ.
Hey, Karthik. Hey, everybody out there. Also, our producer for this evening is Tyler Olds. Don't forget, throughout the show, make sure to tag at First Updates Now with any questions or comments that you'd like us to discuss during this episode. And we'll make sure we can get to them either after each match or near the end of the show.
Thank you, PJ. Also, we got a great giveaway tonight, courtesy of our friends from FRC 1720, the Fixed Gears. Tell us about the Bathawks they're giving out.
Bathawks, every time we get them, they are a huge commodity and hugely in demand. I want to give a big thanks to 1720 The Fixed Gears for the donation. But if you haven't seen these before, and I don't know why you haven't, because you should already have a set, but we're giving away a free one already for you tonight. This is a great opportunity. If you want to be in the playoffs and you want to be competition ready, to have these plugged into your batteries so you know your batteries are good to go. So the Bathawks, make sure you check them out. If you don't win tonight, go pick up a set. You can pick them up at Andy Mark, but the Bathawks are absolutely sweet, and I want to give a big shout out to 1720. If you're interested in winning these near the end of the show, we're going to have an opportunity. We will type in a keyword that will get you entered in. You got to follow to make sure you do that, and if you subscribe, you get 5 times chance to win. And by the way, I do want to give a huge shout out to our friend Kurtanjek from 225. Donnie, thank you so much for 5,000 bits before the show started. Holy crap, man. You are an insane animal, and we appreciate all your donations here on the stream. Says, sorry, Fun, can't be on tonight. Wanted to get some bits and say first capital RA3D, can't wait for kickoff. Yeah, I'll just give a quick plug for those two guys. So we are going to be doing RA3D live with 225 and 2590 out in York, Pennsylvania during the first weekend of kickoff, so make sure you check that out. They'll be live on Fun the whole time, so make sure you check that out. And to answer one more question by Altsudo, the Battery Hawk is not the Battery Beak. They're totally different. One tells you what the load of the battery is, the other one tells you the current voltage. So good luck, everybody, and have a great show.
All right.
Sweet. Thank you, Tyler. This is going to be really good. And so for our first match of the day, we're going to stick with, I think this is going to be our last power-up match that we're going to cover, maybe forever, hopefully for a while. It'll be a throwback in a couple years. But PJ, take us to the Houston Championship and tell us what went down when the 8 seed played the 1 seed on Turing.
All right. So historically and, logically, being the 8th seed makes it extremely difficult to win an event, right? It's the lowest seed. You're going up against number 1 right away. It's not a great spot to start. Since 2006, only 19 alliances have accomplished, only 19 8th seeds have accomplished this task. That's less than 2% of all elimination alliances that time, which is over 1,000. Out of 173 different events this season, only 12 8th seeds even made it out of the quarterfinals. 3 8th seeds won events this year. That was at the Chesapeake District Championships, the Seven Rivers Regional, and then here in the Turing Division. So I said that we're talking, less than 2%, and less than probably only right around 5% even make it out of quarters. So doing it at the World Championship is even more insane. So we're going to look at one of those alliances tonight, the Turing Alliance of 1533, Triple Strange out of North Carolina, 1296, the Full Metal Jackets out of Texas, and 2655, the Flying Platypi out of North Carolina. They also had 3593 Invictus from Oklahoma on that alliance. We're going to be looking at quarterfinal 1-3, where 8 finishes pulling off the first of their series of upsets on the road to Einstein. They play against the number 1 seeded alliance of 2557 Sodabots from Washington in the PNW district. 2471 Team Mean Machine, also from Washington. Team 120, Cleveland's team from Ohio. And 2130 Alpha Plus from Idaho. So, between those 4 robots, I mean, we're talking about 2471 and 2557 had already won PNW champs together. 2130 was finalist at 2 regionals and was the backup robot on that alliance. So this already looks stacked. We're already 8th seed's already looking like they have a pretty tough task to go to.
Well, especially with this game was so auto-focused, and 2471 was one of those teams out there who had, going into champs, showed off a 4-cube auto, and I think they hit it maybe in a couple of their qualifying matches out of 10. So, that 4-cuber could just totally turn everything on their head. And even before the Elim started, people were talking about that 2471 alliance with the Sodabots as a possible threat to the Cheesy Poops alliance because of their auto. So this is how overwhelmingly a favorite they were.
Yeah, 2471 was insane. People followed them all year. They put out, I can't remember if they were part of Reveal Night or just put out a reveal video, but they definitely put out a video and everybody followed them the entire season. They made people pay attention to PNW a little bit. So I guess we're just going to go ahead and jump right in to this match. So first off, what happens, Karthik mentions 2471's 4-cube. If we watch auto, guess what they're about to hit. So in this match, we see 2471 just with this beautiful 4-cube auto. 1296 down there goes for a 2-cube, but is not able to pick up their second cube. So if we can just pause right here at the end of Autonomous. So at the end of Autonomous, 2471 has hit a 4-cube. 1296 has 1 cube on the scale. In the majority of matches,
this match should be over.
Yes, this is you see that, you're like, okay, well, good run, number 8. You took him to 3 matches. However, what is key is what's one thing to note about auto is over, as Tyler just circled, that they did between 2655 and 1533, Blue put 4 cubes on their switch. I talked to one of the strat kids from 1296. He said this was on purpose. They made sure they wanted to overload that switch because then they don't have to. Because then they don't. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it was they knew they planned to overload that switch because then they didn't have to worry about it for the rest of the match. That was the idea. So so at the end of auto, we've got red up 4 cubes to 1. So in most matches, this would have been game over. So if we start to roll teleop, we see 1296 and 1533 both go to start the attacking that scale right away. Once, like I said, switch is secure. Don't have to worry about it. 2655 is flying over to play defense, while Red's third robot, 2130, is starting to play portal. This is key because they're tying themselves up down at the portal as opposed to helping on the scale, playing some defense over on the opponent switch, or doing anything else. They've tied themselves up in that portal game. And as we watch this match, we'll see 2655 starts to hammer on that opponent switch, which keeps 2130 further tied up. Can't even, they're not.
Let's pause right here for a sec. Yeah. Blue's already taken back the scale.
Yes.
That's crazy considering they were down by 3 cubes to start after auto.
Yeah, if you rewind, we can see part of what happens if we go back to 125 seconds left in the match. And then we roll it for a second. We'll see 2471 gets a foul for pulling down on the scale. And then in a few seconds later, they get stuck under the scale. You can see the ref in the back start to count.
Gotcha.
So in this time, they end up earning, so between the tipping, so if they end up between the tipping the scale and then the holding it for what they did, that ends up occurring a tech foul and 2 regular fouls, which does not end up coming into play in this match. But what it did do was 2557 had to pause to free them from underneath the scale. And if you count in those approximately 6 seconds that 2471 was stuck, Blue scores 3 cubes in those 6 seconds, which makes up that auto difference. And that's where that shift starts to happen. If 2471 doesn't get stuck under that scale, they keep playing scale. It's no big deal. But that tied up 2471 and 2557 for just those 6 seconds, which was just enough for Blue to catch up. When you're this number 8 seed, I mean, I think we see that you have to play perfect in a lot of these matches, and you can't let an opportunity like that slip. And this 8th seed does not. And then as we roll, where was I? And then when we get to about 80 seconds left in the match, we'll see 2471 drop a cube off the scale in the back. It's starting to fall right now. And so while this one cube, I mean, Blue's dropping cubes as we watch too, but when they go to retrieve this cube, 2655 switches to a really aggressive defensive strategy at this point. You see them flip around to that portal zone, and they get 2471 when they're not in a protected area. They've been sticking to the key, and now 2655 spends the next about 50 seconds guarding 2471 does not score a cube for the next 50 seconds of this match.
Wow. Can I interject for 1 second here,
Yes.
PJ? So let's pause this right now. So when this match starts, so when you think about what happens when you have like the 1 seed versus the 8 seed, where does the 8 seed gain an advantage? Well, the 8 seed gains an advantage by a serpentine draft.
Yes.
And what this number 8 alliance did was they grabbed 2655, who was clearly the best defensive robot in that division. And I think this year at Champs, there were different strategies that an 8 alliance could pull by either going with 3 strong scalers and trying to rotate in and out, or try and go dedicated 2 offense and 1 defense. And that's what they did here. Now, normally you'd say, well, there still should be at a disadvantage because the number 1 alliance with going 2 offense should be overpowering. But 2655's defense was able to slow down one of 2471 or 2557. Mm-hmm. And also, PJ keyed on it at the start of the match about 2130, them just working the exchange. There's so many other things they could have been doing. They really turned the match into almost into like a 2-on-3. 2130 was so isolated there, and this just rearranged the chess pieces and put the advantage towards Blue. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you can see like they focus on the portal at the beginning of the match, and then towards the end with about 70-ish seconds left in the match, we see 2130 switch to playing a little bit of defense on 1296 over in the corner, but at that point Blue already controls the scale, and 2655 is shutting down 2471, who is much more valuable to the number 1 alliance than 1296 is to the Blue alliance at this point. So in this sort of, I guess, defensive trade-off, Blue wins that because of who gets shut down by whom. And so we see a little bit of defense for 2130, but it's too late in the match. Whereas we see that Blue waits to play Portal until you can see 1533 over there right now. They're just starting to play Portal with a minute left. They wait till they're already up on the scale. They wait till they're winning the scale. They wait till 2655 has that defense pretty locked in, and then they go to play the Portal because they fill the cubes they need in about 20 seconds. You don't need to start that match playing the Portal, which is a lot of teams made that mistake this year. And so as we continue to roll, so we see 1533, like I said, with a minute left, but they're already winning the scale. They're winning the switch. 2471 is shut down by the little defense bot, the little switch bot that could. As we just roll, and it's just at this point, we start to get to that whole time-based scoring thing where even though it just keeps getting farther and farther away for Blue, we just start counting. They keep adding onto the points. They play their boost just to once 1533 has enough cues for it, and then we get to the end game and we see them start to line up. 2471 is desperately trying to control that scale. 2471 had a triple climb for those who don't remember, so they're desperately trying to win back that scale. But what it does not do, they do not have enough time to go and line up for that climb.
Man, Red had to waste so many cubes on their switch.
Yes, exactly. They 2130 had to rip apart basically their entire pyramid to keep 2655 from pulling that switch. Which is part of why when the 1533, that Blue pyramid, other than auto, was untouched.
Yeah,
so 1533 just tore it apart to do the portal, did the portal in 20 seconds and game over.
Blue didn't touch their switch after auto.
Yeah. I said they scored those 4 cubes and never had to. Red never came on their side of the field for that entire match. And then we see this end with Blue having their triple climb plus levitate. 2471 just doesn't leave themselves enough time.
This is well orchestrated. This is just really nicely done by the Blue Alliance.
Yeah, it was that was why I watched like their entire run. I watched all the matches, see which one I would talk about. I was like, I have to talk about the one where they're down 4-1 on the scale in auto, right? Like, how do you win that match? Nobody wins that match.
Yeah, I never saw this one live. I only really caught up to the Terrain Alliance once they got around to division finals, and I was like, holy crap, number 8's still alive. So this is really eye-opening to see how this played out here.
Yeah. No, and it was And what's the other crazy thing about 2655 that somebody brought up in chat? 2655 didn't start the year as a Switch bot. They had an elevator at their first district event, and I think somebody told me that it basically like tore itself apart over the course of the event. Before their second district, they cut it off, turned it into this little Switch defense bot, and just dominated the Switch defense game. They're arguably the best Switch bot in the world.
I love it when teams aren't afraid to gut a robot mid-season, especially a team who's gone with a more advanced, more complicated robot, and they got it to go simple. It's a bold decision. It's hard to abandon something that you worked on for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks at that point. But sometimes it really pays dividends, and this was a great example of it. And also, I think this was a rough year on simple robots because Switch bots, to a certain degree, they definitely got neutralized compared to like if you think of 2017 when low goal robots, in 2016 when low goal robots were still effective at the championship level. Even seeding really high. Switch bots had a hard time because one cube on the scale could just throw you completely off. But 2655, they were, them and the Howdy bots at South Championship just blew me away.
Yeah, and then even the finalist alliance at Detroit Champs had 4967, who was same way. They started. I was at their first district event. That one team, they had an elevator that was real wonky, real strange design. And then I see them. I don't see them again until MSC, and then I see them pop up at MSC with this little Switch bot that just hammers the Switch. And it was like They were like, yeah, it wasn't going to work. So we took a vote as a team and decided to change it. And I just think that's so commendable.
Yeah, I love it when simple does well. I really do.
Yeah.
Couple questions in chat. Just a couple comments we got there from Robot Nerd number 1. 2655 was an amazing bot. They were able to occupy red, which left us and 1296 to the scale. That's definitely true. Gryffindor 66 says, also point out that 3 of the 8 teams during the Turing finals were North Carolina teams. Shout out to North Carolina right there.
Yeah, because it was like we were mentioning actually before we got on air. I mentioned that because on the finals was 2642 Pitt Pirates, who were another fantastic North Carolina team. Districts have definitely helped North Carolina up their competitive edge in the last couple of years.
And I think this is kind of cool because North Carolina is a region that I definitely don't get to follow much during the regular season. I think once you're PJ and I have talked about this at length. Once you go districts, you're kind of locked into your own region. And so watching Houston Champs from home, where I've got multiple screens for all the divisions going, it was neat to see what North Carolina. I was really impressed by North Carolina. I was totally impressed by PNW. I never get to watch them during the weeks. And so it was just kind of cool to see the powerhouses that come out of those areas.
Yeah. PNW is a big one because nobody goes to, because a lot of the other districts are close enough that there's a little bit of inter-district play. But like PNW, nobody from Michigan or Indiana.
Look at Israel, guys.
I forgot about Israel. They're a district system.
PNW
For now.
was also maybe the most dramatic because I remember in 2010, it was like a week 1 or 2 event, and I was going through the stats from a PNW event, and it's like I think it was like either one or no teams hung for the entire event. Yeah. And it was just like, what is this? But like regions like that, which used to be so low end, are now like, PNW had some of the top teams in the world this year, and they just kept coming out of nowhere. And it was like, it's just crazy the transformation that's happened up there. So
for sure.
Another question in chat from CE Scales _1073. How rare is it for an 8th seed to win and not lose one match in elims? Very rare.
I don't have those numbers. Like I said, I ran the numbers on all that other stuff, but I didn't get that in depth. But I would guess probably almost never.
Yeah, as PJ said, I think you said 29 victories for the number 8 alliance since 2006.
19.
And I think I can recall, I think there was a New England district where one team actually ran the table as an 8th seed a couple of years ago. I don't remember where that was, but I do remember that, I think.
2016 Curie, it might have been, because that was the quote-unquote perfect reverse bracket.
Yes.
But I don't remember if it was all 2 matches, because that was where
it definitely wasn't.
Okay, well, okay.
Yeah, I thought some of those went well. Maybe I shouldn't say definitely, but there were definitely some matches that went to 3. I just don't know if it was on the top side of the bracket.
That's fair.
All right. If there's any other questions about that match, we can hit them up a little bit later on. Just post them in chat, or if you have any other comments for us, let us know what's going on too. But I think we're going to go on to the Carson finals here. And so we're going to go back to 2015, and it's Recycle Rush. And I know people don't like Recycle Rush. I get it. You think it's boring. And
and for the most part, you're correct.
But here's the thing. 2015, in my opinion, was the best engineering challenge that First has given out, period. And I loved the creativity of design that was able to result from it. And I think the 3v0, like, I understand that the lack of interaction between the robots after the first 2 seconds of the match is a bit of a downer. I totally get that. On the other hand, I think it's very cool for teams to be able to see what they've engineered out on the field and not have to worry about defense. I think that designing just to complete tasks is very, very cool. And I think there's something fulfilling about that. So I like the game from that perspective. From the spectator point of view, I get it. It was a bit dry at times, but I do think, especially at lower levels of play, but at higher levels of play, when like 7 stacks were rolling out, it was fun to say. So the game has to be underrated because everyone hates it. Like it couldn't be overrated. Trust me, because I think I'm the only defender of this game. But
I will get on board with the design challenge argument. Because there was the teams like 148's robot that year is like nothing that FRC had ever seen or will see in any foreseeable future. There's those other ones that you can remember that just there was so many different rules. I will concede the robot design element, but just as a game,
and also on the robot design side, teams were able to get a little bit funky with their designs because you're not worried about defense. Like on 11-14 that year, we did a Kiwi drive. We would never do a Kiwi drive in a conventional game, but that game, suddenly all the metrics that we use to decide our drivetrain, well, we had to throw out so many pre-built assumptions about traction and such, and we're like, wait a second, holonomic makes sense here. Let's do this. So it was cool. It was a weird game though. So let's talk. Someone in the chat's asking what a Kiwi drive is. It's a 3-wheel holonomic drive. Probably.
Did somebody else ask you about the noodle agreement? We're not going to talk about the noodle agreement.
We can get to all this stuff later. There was a lot of weird stuff. But strategically, I mean, the real reason things were weird was specifically what we talked about. There was no defense involved. So most matches were really 3 versus none. In the finals, things were converted to actually being a head-to-head match. But the interaction was basically the first 2 seconds of pretty much every match because that's how quickly the can grabbers were going. Some were even faster. Some teams were down to 1 second or just under 1 second. So at the very highest levels of matches, the winner of the match was the team that grabbed most of the cans. There was 10 cans in play, and so if you ended up with, and three were assigned to each alliance, and 4 were spread across the center of the field. If your alliance got at least 3 of those 4 cans, you were probably going to win. Just the other alliance was functionally limited in how many points they could score. So that's why those cans were still so important. All that being said, though, you still had to execute and do something with those cans. And strategically, there's a lot to be learned by watching how teams utilize their time and interact with each other during these matches. So it's not like a write-off from a strategies perspective. So the division that we're going to talk about is the Carson division that year. And this division was rocked by the biggest upset of championship, maybe the biggest upset in First history, with 254 and 973 and their partner losing in the quarterfinals. And I don't even want to dive into that. That could be a whole other show of analysis, but they got knocked out early and the rest of the division opened up. So when we get to the finals, we got Alliance 2 in blue, Alliance 5 in red. Alliance number 2 was the captain was Team 1325. They had 2 finalists that season in Ontario, but let's throw an asterisk on this because their finalists that year was one of them was in Waterloo where they lost to 11-14 in 2056 at the peak of their powers. Where it was just no one was beating that. And that was at Windsor, and then they also lost to 2056 at the Greater Toronto Regional East. So they ran into some powerhouses early. 33-39. This is Team Bumblebee from Israel. This is before Israel went to district, so they only went to Israel's one event, and they won it. And then their third robot, 1711, winners of the Traverse City District, and by the way, the Michigan State Championship. So 1711, clearly legit. We move on to the Blue Alliance. We have Team 4488, Shockwave from the PNW region. And this was Shockwave at the top of their game. They won 2 districts that year, and they were finalists at the PNW championships. Team 67, the hot team, trying to get back to Einstein for like the 8th millionth time. They won 2 districts that year, no surprise. And then, believe this, as the third robot, Team 225, who won 2 districts and Marchamps. So this match is, even with 254 and 973 going out early, these alliances are stacked. Like, think about it. Both third robots on these alliances won their respective district championships. So coming into the finals, Alliance 5 was in first place after the quarters and the semis by a good margin. 44, 88, and 67 were just rolling together, and they looked super, super powerful, putting up 6 stacks. It was really, really impressive. So let's get ready to dive into this match as I just bring my screen up here. And so we're going to start right now in autonomous mode. We're going to pause it after just a couple seconds. And for those of you who weren't around in 2015, like, this is the match right here. And seriously, keep your eyes open. Don't blink. Boom. Let's pause it right here. There we go. Like, most matches are decided at this point. Like, there were a lot of matches where after this happened, you could just say, okay, I'm going to go get some popcorn right now, and I'll be back for the next match. Call me after field reset, reassembles like the 80 totes on the field. So 1711 grabs 2 cans right away. They've got them in their grasp. But Bumbleb grabs 1 can, but 1 can is totally missed. Neither Bumbleb, I always call them Bumbleb, Bumblebee.
I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to let it go.
So Bumblebee leaves 1 can up there. Shockwave has grabbed 1 can. So now the can war is actually going to extend into Teleops. Sorry, this Bumbleb thing. On 1114, we always call them Bumbleb. It's just become like this thing. But we know Bumblebee. We love you. We love you. These Israeli honeybees. It's all good. But now, if basically the Blue Alliance can get this 1 can off the step, they've got this match on lockdown. However, if the Red Alliance gets it, then the cans are even, and we got a real matchup here. So let's resume to see how things go. And right away, both these robots, so Autonomous is just sitting around for the rest of Autonomous, because let's pause here for a second again to talk about this game. There were totes you could stack in Autonomous mode for bonus points, but a lot of alliances found that those stacks, those totes just got in the way, and you were allowed to take them off the field, and they were yellow totes. Mm-hmm. There's no yellow totes on the field. Both alliances got them. So all teams, after 2 seconds in Autonomous, just sat around. This is a division final at championship, and we have 6 teams just like hanging out by their joysticks. So that's hilarious to me. So let's just all, twiddle our thumbs here for 7 more seconds.
We'll just, everybody has a great time.
And get ready for Bumblebee and Shockwave to race back for that 1 can. And let's pause again here to talk about this. Remember, all teams designed their can grabbers to be optimized for that quick at the first second of the match. Mm-hmm. Very few teams were optimized at getting a can off the stack once the match starts. So now this is like teams like improvising with devices that are kind of stuck out and just trying to like find a way to grab these cans. It's like blind men fishing. Like Daredevil's going fishing here and just like poof. So let's see what happens. And they're just like mashing away. Who can get to this can?
They got to try to clear out those landfill toads.
Yeah, Bumblebee's like hacking away, like hoping they can grab it. And 225's dove, and there we go. Let's pause right now. Bumblebee's got the can. And Blue has a major advantage. It's interesting because Shockwave backed off and they went to go stack. They sent 225 to get in position there. I wonder if they would have been better suited leaving Shockwave, but I don't remember if Shockwave's can grabber was optimized even the slightest way to grab that. And 225, apparently their can grabber had actually fallen off at this point. So they were probably going to struggle to get that can. And this is, advantage Blue right here. But again, now, remember what I said, that the Red Alliance had a big advantage coming into this matchup because they'd been stacking more smoothly. So let's watch the Red Alliance and see what they do as things go on. You can see the Shockwave and Hot, both are halfway through stacks already.
I'm just gonna say it the way I feel it.
And we're just going to let this go for the next little while. And you see these stacks building. Shockwave getting ready to drop one here. And let's pause at about the 100-second mark just to do a status check of where we're at right here. So Shockwave places their first stack, and 67 is close behind. While on the blue side, not much scoring has gone on yet. So Red's beginning to take a little bit of an advantage here. But remember, Red's only got 4 cans to work with. They've got to use them efficiently. So let's go for another about 20 seconds here. Shockwave goes off to grab another can and then set up at the portal to grab stacks. 225 is doing a really good job of just moving some landfill totes onto the platforms there. Hot getting ready to deliver their first stack. We're seeing some nice work by 1711 delivering cans over to Bumblebee, and now we're paused right here. And so taking a look at doing a reset right now, Hot's got their stack. So the Red Alliance has 2 full stacks, meaning, and 2 of their cans are up already. So like they're maximizing what they can do. This is really efficient stuff. It looks like Blue's really far behind here because Bumblebee hasn't put up a stack yet. And it looks like 1325 just kind of has a mess of totes. But that mess is not a mess. 1325 was like one of those, the match for them was a marathon. They came out very controlled, but by the end of the match, they always got their 3 stacks. But they didn't do it the conventional way, building stacks one at a time. They would take 3 totes, put them on the platform. They would take another 3 totes, put them on the platform. They would take another 3 totes, put them on the platform. So they have 3 stacks of 3. And it looked so weird. But then they would take 3 more totes with a can on it and place it on top of those 3 to build the complete 6 stack, which was the goal that you needed. The 6 stack with a can was the masterpiece that you were going for. And they do that again. So they would do 6 separate movements through the match, and it would be spread out through the duration of the match. So it would always look like they were behind, but then, without fail, they would get their 3 stacks in there. So most people in the audience who were watching this probably would have thought that Red was far ahead, but anyone who had seen a lot of 1325 that year, and the paradox of inverse paradox, you would realize, hey, they're up to something here. So this is still pretty cool. It's also important to notice that, yes, Blue has 6 cans here, but the way the stacks are going up, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to use them all efficiently. And that might mean that the value of their cans decreases because the scoring for cans wasn't linear. It was based on the height of the stack you had built. So that's something to think about. But also remember, even if they only score 5 of their cans in an optimal arrangement on 6 stacks, they still should have this because the Blue Alliance only has 4 cans. So let's keep going here. We'll go for, let's stop at the 67 mark for Team 67. You see Bumblebee getting ready to drop off a 6 stack. And Shockwave's got another one ready, and we're going to pause and do a reset here. So again, 1325 is still just has 3 lonely tote stacks. Like that's what was that? That was just 18 points. That's nothing right now. But there's a bigger game in progress. Bumblebee doing a great job there, while Hot and Shockwave are just moving really smoothly through all of this. And they've got 2 optimal stacks already. They have a 3rd optimal stack coming, and there's only 1 can left over there. So who's going to take that right now? So let's keep going here. And I guess I can see why people think this game is boring. Because there's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of nervousness right here. But I love the way that 1711 is uprighting cans and just getting them set up for their partners. That's their contribution here, and it is super, super valuable. So watching that over on the blue side of the field. Let's pause right here as things are coming along. And we notice that 1325 is now starting to complete their stacks. They've already got one of their up top. Shockwave's done their 2. Hot's finishing one up. Now Shockwave is going to get that last can. That's interesting that they didn't split the cans 2-2 between Shockwave and Hot, that they trusted Shockwave with 3. Works out, but that was just an interesting game. So Hot now basically is just going to do uncapped stacks, which some teams could do really quickly, while other teams struggled with doing uncapped stacks because they needed the can to help position everything tightly. For example, 11-14 uncapped stacks were a mess. So this is kind of interesting how it plays out. But right now, like Red's really got control of this. Blue's still got 3 cans just hanging out, so they've got to find a way to use them. And let's let this go for about another 30 seconds here. Okay, we're going to stop at the 20-second mark.
And I can see from having what I saw Hot regular season, I can see why they would trust 4488 with this can, apparently, because Hot did have some can security issues throughout the regular season. I don't remember them at Champs.
That makes a lot of sense. And 4888 was really, really good. So you see 1325 now lifting another three plus up there, and they've got their business almost taken care of. 225 still doing their thing, just getting every extra tote that they can get over there for 2 points. I'm not going to talk about Noodles. Noodles are so stupid. And you see Shockwave. Yeah, and so now we got 20 seconds left. Shockwave's got their tote stack ready to go, and they're ready to drop it off. Blue is behind, and they need something to happen because basically they've got to get 2 more cans up somewhere. And we know 1325 is going to handle one, but they have no other stacks to put this lonely can on, and there's only 20 seconds left. And that's like a lot. And so it's like, what's going to happen here? And so let's let it go with right now. 1711 has a can in their hands. What are they going to do with it? Because they aren't the ones who are stacking. So let's let it go for just 2 more seconds here and watch this handoff to Bumblebee and pause right here. Like, this is stuff that doesn't happen in most first games, the transfer of game pieces between alliance partners. But this is crucial because now maybe Bumblebee can put that somewhere, and maybe 1711 can set up a tote for them to put that can on. Because the can not on a tote is worth nothing, 0 points. And Blue's really got to come up with some action here. And now let's let it go till about the 10-second mark, because then this match just gets crazy. As we're watching, the Shockwave goes to get their final stack up on the platform. And let's pause it right here. Perfect place to pause it. 8 seconds left. The Red Alliance is done now. They've got all their cans up. They've got all the totes that they're going to do. I think they've exhausted the human player station. So basically, the only team that can really kind of get to totes is 225, because Shockwave's not going to want to navigate all these stacks in fear of knocking them down. Hot seems content to stay in the corner. But Reds, with being done right now, they've got 4 complete stacks up, and Blue only has 3 complete stacks. I guess Blue's got 4 complete stacks too, but let's back up here. I'm slowing down here. Red's got 4 complete stacks and a lot of totes on their platform, because Hot built that extra stack and 225's got some. So that's why Red has the advantage compared to Blue's 4 complete stacks. However, 1325 still got a can, and Bumblebee still got a can. And let's watch both those robots in the last 8 seconds. 1325 completes their stack. Bumblebee's looking for somewhere to go with that can. 1711 drops a tote on. They drop it right on with time running out. And that is how the Carson division was won. That last can being dropped on that tote with 1 second left swings the match. That was the difference. And it was just such a cool move by 1711 and Bumblebee to choreograph that together in a game where teams were really pretty much working independently, for that to come together just like that, and to have the awareness that they needed to do something together to make that call in the box with that little time left is absolutely crazy. And
because that goes back to that first maneuver between the two of them you pointed out, like the fact that 1711 had the can, they hand it to Bumblebee, and it was then 17, like, you know, that was a whole big like maneuver between the two of them. Just that amount of teamwork, you don't see that often,
right? And if those teams worked independently,
yeah,
the Blue Alliance would not have won,
yeah,
because Bumblebee wasn't going to be able to get totes out for a stack, and the uncapped, if 1711 was doing uncapped stacks, it wouldn't have been enough points. And so that's how this all came together like that. And it was absolutely this was a special match. And I had kind of forgotten about this because there was so much going on at Champs this year, because that was the last year of I guess it was the second last year of 8 divisions at Champs, and it was just like very overwhelming, and there was a lot going on. So that was pretty cool. So let's take a look to see if we got any questions here. Ooh, we do. I've heard 4488 was crazy 2015. What was it? So they had a great stacking machine, but they also had like these weird can grabbers that they never deployed. They were like top secret, but apparently they found some loophole that your can grabbers could extend outside of the field and actually start in a can or something? PJ,
Well,
can you talk about
technically,
this?
it wasn't outside the field. It was if you had something that went basically along the top of the rail, because that wasn't considered, because you couldn't start in your landfill or in your something else, whatever you could, but whatever it was, you couldn't start. But the side rail of the field was not included in that. So some teams figured that out, that theoretically you could have had something go along the side rail and then like cut back over type deal. I don't remember exactly how it was gonna choose, but you couldn't go outside the field, but the guardrail, like on top of the guardrail, was this weird neutral gray area
Well,
that wasn't included.
I'll never forget going on to Einstein that year in the prep time before Einstein. Someone from 4488 comes to me. They're telling me about this can grabber, and I'm like, why are you telling me about this? Like, I've got other things to do. And then he's like, so do you want them? I'm like, what? He's like, well, we got knocked out, and we want to see them used on Einstein, so we'll just give them to you. And I was like, well, that's weird. That's sketchy. He's like, no, trust me, lots of teams are doing it. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, there's like an auction going on in the pits, and teams were literally taking can grabbers off robots that had been eliminated, handing them to other teams. I'm like, this is so weird. Is this, like, what is happening? He's like, yeah, lots of people are setting up can grabbers to stop you in 148, so we wanted to help you guys out. I'm like, this is bizarre. I'm like, we got our own weird can grabbers over there. We're gonna,
we've got an entire harpoon system set up, so
you know,
our can grabbers could literally kill people.
Ours were not that dangerous. I'm serious. We did the energy calculations. We had them for the inspectors that proved that other teams' can grabbers, like for example, the 3310's can grabbers could delivered much more energy. And 3310's can grabbers hit a ref once. You know, ours were like nicely aimed. We had a nickname for them. They were called the Frogs and Lily Pads. Just very gentle.
Very nice harpoons.
There we go. Spectrum 1114 were way safer than 118s, 1678s, and 3310s. Totally. 1711 us was cheesecake at States because of the ability to pick up cans. 1023 gave us can grabbers, took them away, and we rebuilt them for Worlds. So, 1711 was using 1023 can grabbers.
Actually, I was almost positive they were 548s, but I guess somebody from 1711 would know better than I would.
Yeah, well, 1023 did have really, really good can grabbers that year, so it does not surprise me. Mm-hmm. Going back to your match, PJ, in 2018, how would you compare the Turing number 8 alliance and the Darwin number 6 alliance? 1533, 1296, 2655, 3593 versus 494, 865, 4917, and 51. That's
a really good question.
I'll go first. I have some thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead.
The number 6 Darwin alliance was stacked. Mm-hmm. 4917 should not have been a second pick at championship. I wouldn't say it was bad scouting because they just had a lot of mechanical breakdowns throughout the weekend. But this was like a team who was arguably a top 5 team in the province of Ontario. They were provincial championship finalists to 2056 and 1325. So like them being available in the second round to 494 and 865 just made for a super, super powerhouse alliance. So on the other hand, 1533, 1296, and 2655 had such great synergy and played really well strategically together. I think that'd be an interesting matchup. But there was just like 4917 was just way too good to be a second round robot.
Yeah, it's hard because they play different strats, so you can't do a true comparison because 494 was a scale bot that played defense as opposed to 2655, who was the pure switch bot. So 494 had the ability to switch back and play scale, and so they did a little bit more sort of bouncing back and forth than the Turing Alliance had the ability to, because 2655 couldn't reach the scale. So in a head-to-head, I don't know who I take. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I think I would lean towards the Michigan-Ontario alliance, but I'm clearly biased. So.
I mean, same. Like I was.
Yeah, yeah, but right. It's basically the PJ Karthik alliance right there.
Exactly, and I did, and I know 494s. I know a lot of their strat, and I know a lot of their strategy people, and I think they would have found the way to get around what 2655 and all them were doing. So I think I take Turing in a 3-game series, but I'm pretty sure like they're not winning it in 2 straight. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, it would be a good matchup. So we'll take more questions later on. Just keep tagging us in chat, hitting us up. But we're going to move into our decade breakdown. So For our last FUNalysis of the year, we're going to ask for live audience help with voting. So make sure you're logged in and ready to cast a vote as we break down which game was better. So we're going to do this bracket style. Our producer Tyler's got us all set up and randomized the years. Both PJ and I will cast a vote, and the audience will cast a third vote to determine who moves on. So if you're on a computer, make sure you vote. Click Twitch Picks. Click that icon on the screen, and it'll expand to cast your vote. And as the tournament moves on, more will be available. So Tyler, why don't you tell us what we're doing?
Yeah, and this is new for us, guys, so bear with us because there's some weird gremlins happening in my computer right now. So for some reason, random keys are being pressed. So if somebody hacked my computer, please stop. But with that said, we're going to do the best we can for this. But we're going to be comparing games from different years. So we're going to start with 2010, and you can argue if 2010 is actually part of the decade or not, because technically it's not, right?
Yeah.
But so what we're going to do, though, is a play-in for that between 2010 and 2011. But we're going to break down a bracket with the quarterfinals. I'm not going to show the bracket on screen, but what we're going to do, I'll actually switch over here, is that we're going to...
Jesus. This is the match you have to show?
It's just the Einstein Finals matches.
I have a feeling this whole bracket is just going to be 11-14 losing montage.
No, sometimes it's 2056 too.
Oh, great! Yeah,
it's Canadian. It's Canadians losing the world championship.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So the way that it's going to work is we're going to start out with 2010 versus 2011. If you have the screen up, if you are on a desktop, I know it works for sure. You should be able to start casting your votes right now and see the other one. So it's going to start out with 2010 versus 2011, 2013 versus 2015. And around as I said, they all go away. 2016 versus 2018, and 2012 versus 2017. And then 2014 will play the winner of 2010 or 2011. So that's kind of, somebody was asking about that because we don't know the winner yet for something like this.
All
and
right.
I'm hoping
right.
I can see the results because for some weird reason I can't see the results all of a sudden on my page. So I might need some.
Well, as you figure that out.
Oh no, I got it now. Okay.
Okay.
So,
PJ, give us your quick impression of these two games and which one you want to move.
I'm going to come straight out and say I'm going to be biased in this one. 2010 was my senior year, so the robot I built that year was my baby. And I love that game for a lot of reasons. I love the strategy of the 3 different zones. I love some of the designs that came out of it. So I'm going to go 2010.
For me, so I thought this was the era where first had really good games, but they also had their games would always have like some sort of stupid critical flaw. Mm-hmm. And 2010, the scoring system was wins and losses didn't matter. It was your score plus your opponent's score times 2. So like it encouraged 6-on-nones and stuff. I hated that. That was so bad. But 2011, I hated the mini bots, and like the mini bots were just like this. It was not good.
Minibox sucked because it was the FTC parts you had to use. That's what really made it crappy.
Well, not just that. It was also like it was expensive and it was overpowering and kind of overwhelmed what was a normally cool game. So I did love 2010 because you had some creative designs like 469's beautiful cycling machine, but the 2010 qualification round stuff and the 6VO stuff was so annoying. So I'm going to vote 2011. So we need the audience to break the tie for us.
All right. So the audience already has, and with 16 votes to 7, they voted for 2011. So 2011 is going to move on, and they're going to play 2014 in just a little bit. So we'll reset everybody here and go through. I gotta ask. So we're showing 2010 right now, right? Karthik or PJ, can you talk a little about 469's robot that year and just how crazy and borderline rule breaking that was?
Well, I mean, it was like a chokehold. Basically, what they would do is they would lock themselves into the tower so they couldn't move, and they would basically catch all the balls that were being cycled back into play, and balls were cycled back in from your own side of the field. So once you scored, they could build a cycle where the balls would just be scored over and over and over again. And it was just a work of art because it was so hard to create what they did and make it all fit and make sure that they couldn't get pushed out of the tower. And it was even though they didn't win the championship that year, I think it's one of the 3 greatest robots of all time in FRC history.
And there's no reason they shouldn't have won the world championship. There was that's a whole discussion for another day, but I'm
not going to say anything.
Yeah, I was saying that's why. But it's what I loved about it was the first time I saw it was I want to say Michigan State Championship. No, Troy District was the first time I saw it in person, which was their second event. So that was their second event. So everybody at the event had already heard of it. So everybody went to their pits to see it. And it was all folded up at the start of the match because it had to start within their bumper, their frame perimeter and everything. And so I was looking at it and like, I was like, how's that quite work? Because you couldn't get close to their pit, number one, because everybody was trying to see the robot. And then I see their first match and it just all like folds out in this like amazing. I was like, oh, that's how that works. And it was if they could get their cycles going, it was game over. Like it was like some other years where you had a very short time to get ahead of them and you could defend them if done very, very correctly. But it was,
they were. I mean, like I consider that robot like the 2007 New England Patriots, who I consider to be one of the greatest NFL teams of all time, but they lost in the finals, and I think that's the same deal with 469 that year. So, all right, we know that 2011 is moving on, so let's jump over to our next matchup, which this will be interesting. 2013 Ultimate Ascent and 2015 Recycle Rush. PJ, take us away.
This might be the number 8 seed playing here in Recycle Rush.
This is number 8 seed versus the number 1 seed. But it's 20. I'm gonna go 2013. It was one of the few games where I think it had everything. It had a little bit of everything, and nothing was all the points seemed pretty balanced for how hard it was to do everything. Like a third level climb wasn't worth too much or too little. I feel like it was an appropriate amount of points. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but for how easy it was to score large volumes of frisbees, easy with quotes. But and then nobody could really do everything. I like a game where one robot can't do everything. There was, one or two exceptions I could probably think of, but for the most part, I think 2013 just everything. It was one of the more tech fouls and fouls weren't a stupid amount of points that added too much, if I remember correctly. But it was like, I think it was a very balanced game. Some really cool robots came out of it. So I go 2013 in a second.
Yeah, I go 2013 easily on this one. PJ touched on all the points, but I just thought that was the coolest strategic design challenge. There were so many different options. It was hard to say what was right. There was different strategies being played, and like those frisbees flying across the field at high speed were so cool. It was just like, it was awesome to see. And as much as I've made my arguments for 2015, but honestly, I think 2013 is the best game that FRC's ever had. And so, I mean, I tried to emulate this game multiple times in BRC game design because I thought it was that good. It was beautiful. So 2013, easy vote. We don't need to spend too much time talking about it here.
No,
those frisbees were the best until one took you in the neck while you were reffing. Literally, one ricocheted out the field, took me right in the neck. I had to sit out for a minute.
I've told the story on the show before, but like we almost saw the end of the first robotics competition in 2013 because I was at the Finger Lakes event, and there was this one team. They were full court shooting. I forget which team it was. I think it's actually 30. It might have been 30-15, and one of their shots went around the netting, so it's like out there in the audience, and there's a woman holding a baby, and right as the frisbee comes by, she turns and the frisbee just missed the baby, and I was like, oh my goodness, that was the end. That was the end for that baby, for lawsuit. It was just like oh
my God,
it was terrifying. So yeah, but it was still my favorite game. And Tyler, what did the audience think?
Yeah, dominating for the 2013 game, no doubt. I also, Karthik, I do want to point out, to be fair, that I am showing the team that I was on losing in the 2015 game in this as well, too.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So now we're just a bunch of losers,
My team hasn't made Einstein since 2007. That's the only time we made Einstein, and we got red carded out of Einstein. So. Oh
yeah, that was interesting.
So that's.
PJ, we can talk about that on the show about the previous decade, okay?
Okay, sorry, I'm too old for this show.
What does that make me?
Even
all right.
older.
Yeah. So Tyler, you said the 2013 took this one.
Yep, 2013 took this one. By the way, I'm having just as a side producer note, my keyboard is pretty much non-functional right now for some weird reason. So we'll get through the quarters, and then we're gonna just have to have the audience type in the chat how they feel. So.
Okay.
We'll impromptu vote.
All right, yeah. So next up, we've got 2012 Rumble versus 2017's First Steamworks. PJ, I'm going to keep giving you first opinion.
Let's see. I didn't like Steamworks for a lot of reasons. I just feel like fuel was undervalued. There was those big airships in the middle that made it really visually hard to see. It was just really disappointing for a lot of ways. Field reset took forever. I mean, and I wasn't a huge fan of 2012 either. Actually, but I think I'm going to take 2012 because I loved 2012's Endgame. I love the bridge balancing. I loved some of the robots that came out that year. 1717's 2012 robot. I know we've done. You guys have talked about here before. It's one of my favorite. It's one of the best robots ever, and it's just. I think I'm going to go 2012 just because of my intense dislike for 2017.
Okay. I'm going to go. I mean, I guess let's just talk about the games individually. 2012, I thought was a cool game. Like having a basketball theme was like better than having a theme about, I don't know, medieval times. So like that was cool. But the co-op bridge was just like, the co-op bridge was brutal. So like it's the same with the scoring system in 2010. The co-op bridge was just infuriating. So that's a definite downer for 2012. Steamworks, I thought gear scoring was cool. I thought it was a little bit too easy and not visual enough. I thought Steamworks played great at the highest levels when teams were getting 4 rotors and when teams were filling up the boiler. But I didn't think Steamworks played great at the lower levels, especially when teams were struggling to get like 2 rotors and no fuel was being scored. That being said, the co-op bridge really broke 2012 for me. So I'm going to vote for Steamworks 2017.
Okay.
So this is a really close one here. And with 26 votes to 19 votes, the audience is going to be a tiebreaker, and they went with 2012. So 2012.
Oh, Rebound Rumble.
2012 moving on into the semifinals. I'm literally just hand drawing a bracket here so I can remember all these now.
Oh, great. Now you're showing footage from Einstein 2012. That was a good time for me too. This is the Karthik misery montage.
Yeah, no kidding.
Let's see what else we can come up
Hey, this
with
is how
here.
Candidly Speaking started, Karthik, so...
Oh, okay. So for our next matchup... Oh, did I skip one, Tyler? Or did you skip one?
No, I might have just skipped one.
Okay, so let's go back and do 2016 first Stronghold versus 2018 first Power Up.
Ooh.
We'll get those matches loaded in just a moment.
So as Tyler gets those loaded up, PJ, your thoughts on those two games?
Oh, those are both. I think, let's see, 2016 I liked a lot because I didn't necessarily like, that was the first, well, I guess not the first, but 2016 was, another time where they slapped a theme over our faces and just kept hitting us with a theme over and over and over, whether we liked it or not. So
Hold on, I think we have breaking news in the chat, but apparently Israel was canceled.
No, that's not what she's talking about.
Oh.
I know who that is. Israel was not canceled. She's talking about fantasy.
Okay, so neither the districts nor the nation of Israel have been canceled.
That's what happens when you give Tegan permission to have a keyboard. So okay. I saw people react.
So happy she's going to be one of our new region recap hosts.
I know, that's one of our new region recap hosts.
Okay, because remember there was rumors about Israel this year about
and China got canceled. So
yeah, I was like, oh, poor Bumbleb and Bumblebee.
Poor Bumbleb. No, so Israel did not get canceled. Tegan just did not clarify what was happening.
Cool. Back. Sorry, I distracted. I saw that.
Time to have a fun training on context in chat, I think.
Yes.
I was really worried. So, first Stronghold versus first Power Up.
Anyway, so back to Stronghold. They were hitting us over the head with the theme, but I mean, that was, whereas Power Up was a little bit gentler on the theme, I feel like. But as for actual gameplay, 2018, as we've talked about a lot on all our recap shows, on FUNalysis, on Candidly Speaking a few times, the time-based scoring tended to be a bit broken. As I guess contradicted by what I talked about earlier tonight in my match, but it was usually whoever won in Auton won the match in 2018. For the most part, like I said, there were exceptions. Whereas 2016, it was so entertaining, and I feel like there was a lot to go on. Like there was a lot with the defenses. There was low and high goal scoring. There was 330, doing the resurrection in Einstein finals. Like there's just a lot of memorable things for me for 2016. I think as a game, I think it had a lot of very good elements, a lot of different things that pieced together really well. And so I'm going to go 2016. I
really liked both these games. And so remember what I was saying about the era of when first games had like a fatal flaw, 2010,
Yes.
2011, 2012. I thought these games were both really, really well done. And so I definitely did not like the theme in 2016, but I do think they got the theme right in terms of how much emphasis it had in 2018. But that's really here nor there when it comes to gameplay. So I don't even want to focus on that sort of stuff. I do think that 2016 was just kind of a more fun game to watch. It was a little bit hard to follow from the audience because there was so much happening on either side of the field. You kind of had to pick one side at a time to watch, which made it a little bit of a struggle compared to Power Up, where everything was happening in the center of the field, which I think makes for a much better game. Oh, 2056 losing, really?
I told you I have all the highlights.
Yeah.
To be fair, in 2013, we got to see 2 Canada teams win.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So this is really close for me, but I'm going to go with 2016. I just think that it was a little bit more exciting to watch, and the defenses were a cool challenge, even though they really weren't much of a challenge by the end of the match. They were a visual challenge, and I think the high goal scoring made for some interesting play, and the dynamics of the one defense robot allowed in the courtyard allowed for some cool stuff there. So, and there's the microphone.
I just had to pick that match, you know.
Did you know that microphone was Canadian too? No.
It just breaks out.
Very sorry.
Yeah, very.
And the audience is going to also go with you on Stronghold of 30 votes to 19, going for first Stronghold. So 2016 moves on. Now, here's a little bit of an issue, chat, is that since apparently my keyboard is a potato and it doesn't want to work anymore, we're just going to have to kind of say these out loud and take a rough guess from chat as you spam in.
Really fast, guys.
Yes. So,
so this is how American elections work.
Yes.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
Democracy at its finest. Please only vote once, by the way. That's a great segue, Karthik. But our next one is going to be moving on was 2011.
Wait, we haven't done our... I feel like we missed a quarterfinal.
We did, because 2011 beat 2010 in the play-in, and they are going to go up against 2014. So we're going to bring up these two in just a moment here, and we'll get your opinions. But if you guys want to start talking about them, as I load these up, we'll go from there.
Okay, PJ.
Nathan also offered if you want him to make a straw poll really fast.
That's fine. We can just take chat for now.
Okay.
But thanks, Nathan. Appreciate it.
Nathan is such a go-getter.
Yeah, it was great. I worked with him this weekend. Really great.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Great guy. So between 2011, we talked about already, so I guess I'll focus on 2014. 2014 is arguably my favorite game of all time. Not to ref, but to strategize. Not to ref, but to strategize and play. 2014 is arguably it's probably my favorite game of all time. It edges out 2013 by a brief margin. I love defense. I'm a hard-nosed, the 80s Bears, your Pittsburgh Steelers of the old days, like your football defense, the Iron Curtain. Like, I am a defensive-minded guy. And just seeing 2014 and just the defense and the assists and the way the death cycles when people would run those, I just feel like it was such an entertaining game to watch. With only one game piece for each alliance, it was very easy to focus on what was happening on either alliance because there was only supposed to be one game piece if you did everything right. But so I'm gonna go 2014.
All right. And by the way, I just want to I'm sorry, everybody. My keyboard is I think I have a stuck key, and it's just totally messing stuff up right now. So listen to the beautiful voices of PJ and Karthik while we fix this.
Okay.
So with 2014, aerial assist or aerial assault, as people nicknamed it, or maybe that was me who created that nickname. I don't know. It was a cool game strategically. 6 robots, 2 game pieces. A lot of it. It was the closest game to football in terms of the blocking routines that had to be set, setting picks, and just that hard defense. At championship, when the goalie polls started to emerge, that was like the coolest dynamic of the secondary game that people were all hiding all season long and bringing it out in the finals. The negative was that the refs had such a hard job, and there were just so many weird penalties and penalties that weren't balanced well, and that created some issues. Even still, I like this game better than 2011. I thought that 2011. Hey everybody! It seems like we're back, and there's not much going on the screen, but maybe you can hear our voices. Yes, they can.
Yes.
Shelby Lamp can hear us. Great.
Okay. So we were talking 2011 versus 2014. I was on the 2014 bandwagon.
I was on 2014, and then I think chat was on 2014 as well.
Chat was overwhelmingly on 2014. So sorry, Locomotion.
So I think our semifinal matchup is Ultimate Ascent 2013 versus First Stronghold 2016.
Yes. Okay. I'm voting
2013 all the way. So
yeah, we know where you're voting, Karthik. I'm taking.
Hope everybody knows the videos because there's no way I'm gonna be able to bring up new videos right now. This is
so chat. We're talking 2013 versus 2015, while 2013 versus 2016.
I'm gonna go 2016 to be a dissenting voice, just because not just to be dissenting, but I enjoyed 2016 a lot. Probably got a little bit of bias. For those who don't know, I do have a degree in history with a focus on medieval European history. So the theme was right up my alley. Not that I think it was appropriate for an FRC. Not that I necessarily think it was an appropriate theme for the competition that we were doing, but I was like, okay, I can get behind this a little bit. It was my little history major moment to explain things to STEM people. But it was I think, and I really liked the gameplay at the highest levels. I loved watching the divisions. I thought there was an extra strategic aspect to choosing the defense and things. I know they became relatively standard throughout the end, but I did like the ability to choose the defenses your opponents would face. As a strategy mentor that year, it was really interesting because we had huge spreadsheets over who failed the most, who had the most trouble with certain defenses, and it was just super detailed from a strategy perspective. So I kind of like that. So I'll go 2016.
I'm trying to add up the votes in chat.
Yeah. We got a lot for 2013 and then a lot for 2016 in blocks.
Yeah, I think it's 2016 though. I think.
Wow.
Oh wait, Nathan, 1911 for who?
Yeah.
You need to say who it is. 2011 and 2014 is not in the race, Nathan.
Oh, damn it, Nathan.
Wait, no, Nathan said 2013, I think. It's 2011 in favor.
This is a great way to end a year,
calm
guys.
down, Nick.
Just saying.
Oh, look. So which year won, Nathan?
I don't know. Nick seems to think it's 2013.
Oh, that's great.
He says I missed
2013.
Okay.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you.
Nick,
2013 moves on.
Nick, who are you voting for?
Yeah, this is how Nick gets kicked out of group chats. Okay.
Or the First Inspires channel. Either one.
Did he get banned from there?
No, but a couple of his messages got deleted when he used, I think, when he used fun emotes. So. Now that we're advocating to do that, but go ahead and do that, please. Just go spam it.
Not that we're advocating, but go do it.
Yeah.
Nick, we love you. Okay.
All right, so 2013
that's my co-host.
moves on?
Okay, right. So that was so 2013 moves on to the finals. So then we've got 2014 versus.
So this is 2012.
2014 versus 2012.
I'll let PJ. You can vote first this time.
I'm gonna go 2014 again. Just for all the reasons I said before, I can't think of anything else to add. And like I said, 2012 won, but I wasn't a super big fan of it when I voted for it in the first place. So, but I'm a huge proponent of 2014. So
yeah, I didn't even vote for 2012 in the first round. So I'm not voting for him this time. 2014 aerial assault. Let's do it.
I love aerial assault.
All right, let's see what...
Nathan, please don't double vote. Makes my unofficial job hard. We appreciate you, Nathan, though.
All right, I think most are saying 2014.
I see like two 2012s and a lot of 2014s.
All right, that means it's coming down to the end.
All right, so 2013 versus 2014. Is that all right?
Make your compassion case for 2014.
For 2014, because that is actually my vote.
Yeah,
my compassion case for 2014. So 2014, I just think it was. I like a game where people have designated. I like a game with a designated flow pattern. I like a game where disruptions in that flow pattern through unique strategies can cause upsets and crazy things to happen. I like a game where you can't win it on your own. I like a game that relies work. Yes, you couldn't win 2013 by yourself, but you could more so than in 2014. You needed to be doing those assist cycles. So I just liked that it took your entire alliance to make 2014 work, because if you just You needed all 3 robots playing defense, switching between defense and offense. Otherwise, you weren't going to win because you needed in the highest levels, you needed everybody on their game the entire time. So there's my 2014 pitch.
I am voting for 2013. I loved the strategic balance of the game where you had, ground intake robots versus climbing robots versus full court shooters, or you had combinations of the two. The full court shooting that year, that was the first game we ever had teams scoring from the opposite side of the field, and that was just like a total paradigm shift. Mm-hmm. It really showed the power of the current motors that were in the kit, and with the Vex Pro COTS parts that came out that year, it really made for some unique sort of stuff. The fact that the championship was won by 3 cycling robots, so forget about these full court shooters, forget about the hangers and stuff, like that all kind of went away and just showed how balanced that game was. And I think if you replay that championship 15 times, we might have seen 5 different styles win, different alliances. It was it was intense, and just that visual of those Frisbees just going at full speed. And like the different matches you saw, like how cool it was when you would see like 67 load up at the player station and just fire disc after disc after disc. Or when you would see, 1114 or 254 scaling that pyramid, just like flying there through the air almost, or 2056 with their 7-disc auto, 118 with their 7-disc auto, and it was just a glorious game. Like I loved the game so much. That was the best set of robot diversity we had. So.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm just going to ask Nathan, if you don't mind for this one, make a straw poll and we'll get a full audience vote.
We'll make this one official because it has been going back and forth. I've been trying to keep track.
Or Nick Cousins is just spamming the chat in because I forgot.
I've only counted
for some act of God, I made him a mod and I can't put him in slow mode.
But I think about 2014. One thing I liked, just because we can keep arguing while we get that straw poll up.
Yeah.
Was I liked that it wasn't necessarily the closer or the scoring robot that was
there you go. Straw polls
the
up,
most important part of that alliance. I would argue the mid-zone player was your most key part of that alliance. So that's a departure from most games where the one scoring is the most important. Whereas 2014, it was that mid-zone because they were the most offensive, defensive hybrid robot.
Oh, I'm sorry, PJ. I'm watching the straw poll, and this is like back and forth, back and forth. I didn't realize they had visuals on this thing. This is like watching like the New York Times election night, like the needle.
This just got. It's like we're at 1919.
Yeah.
2019.
I'll see if I can bring it in so people can see it.
It's close. I think we're Nick, 2013 or 2014 maybe the best of the decade, but we all know 2009 is the best all time.
Oh, he's really gonna get banned now. Like
Banhammer.
All right, I'll put up the straw poll here so we can see the results between everything.
So it looks like it's about settled.
For some reason, my screen is now transitioning at like 5 seconds. So.
I keep forgetting we're back on air. I'm leaning back in my chair like a douchebag. Like, sorry.
You wouldn't want to look unprofessional like that, Karthik.
I'll do my Kawhi Leonard laugh. All right.
Yeah, it looks like nobody's voted in about a minute or so. So I think we've.
So where was that? So Karthik, were you 2013 or 2014?
I was 2013.
So you were 2013. PJ, you were 2014?
Yep.
All right. So there are 2 votes right now separating the greatest FRC game of the decade. Let's give it a few more seconds. And while we're doing that, why don't we start our giveaway here? And I'm sorry because I'm not going to be able to bring it back up because of all the ridiculous issues and gremlins that we're having tonight. But it is going to be for the awesome set of Bathawks from Team 1720, Fixed Gears. Make sure you check it out at anymark.com if you're interested in that. And with that said, the keyword for the giveaway, once I get it going, actually, I don't have the show doc up. What is the keyword for tonight?
Yeah, I got it for you, buddy. It is Voyager.
Oh.
Because it's deep space related. Voyager.
I'm hoping
Voyager for the giveaway, guys. Type Voyager in chat.
All right, yeah. So type Voyager in chat if you want to be entered in for the giveaway. Subs do get 5x chance to win if you're a Twitch Prime subscriber, or if you have Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime, you can do so for free. Once again, Voyager will get you in for the keyword. So good luck, everybody, and we'll draw in a few minutes.
All right, it looks like voting has stabilized. With a 1 vote difference, the winner
wow.
is 2013, 24-23 as the greatest game.
I didn't think it would be that close.
Highly contested with 2014. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for listening to us chat about these old games. It's always fun to do. So that's going to be it for FUNalysis this week. Tyler, tell us who donated and subscribed during our live stream. Do you have access to that info?
Let's see if I can bring that up here.
I know Care Tangent donated bits. I know Sia
I got it.
166. Okay,
magically my keyboard's starting to work like now that the show's ending, so I don't know how the hell that works, but we'll get this up here in a second. I'll be able to tell. But I do want to say, for those of you who are donating towards a new keyboard, luckily I still have a couple of those Cooler Master keyboards left over, so I'm actually going to use one of them for this as well. So, all right, let's read off who's donated since the last stream that we had. Matt1511 with the Tier 1 sub. User Daniel with the Tier 1 sub. Big Spuns with the Tier 1 sub. Elliot18, Tier 1 sub. Gray Phantom Delta, 15 months of support with the sub. Thank you. Dark Zach, 5 months in a row. Welcome back, buddy. Kurtanjak, 5,000 bits, as we said before. Incredible. BTM225 with the Tier 1 sub. Grumpback Whale, 5 months of support. CP Apple Family with the Tier 1 sub. CMC Bride, 166. 16 months in a row, buddy. Thank you so much. Chavintech with the Tier 1 sub. Ryan, welcome back with a Tier 1 sub. C. McBride, 166. 2,000 bits says, this has helped Tyler get a new computer. Apparently, I just need a whole new computer.
This is a whole new thing. Throw out the whole computer.
So, Ishano45 with 4 months of support in a row. And Inkling6 just subscribing now says, for 3 months in a row, says 2012 without co-op or 2014 without stupid penalties would both be perfect games. Guys, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yes. You pull co-op out of 2012 and you play that game again with the current capabilities of the COTS parts and where robots have advanced to, it'd be so good. Maybe even change the ball limit up that a little bit to get some more balls in there. But,
Yeah, poll's closed, guys, by the way. I just want to say, if you're VPN voting, the poll is closed. And C. McBride, I'm sorry. Stress has made me revert back to your old name. So my apologies.
Call him CMC Bride again?
Yeah. This is a great show, guys, and a great way to round out our FRC for 2018. This is exactly how I envisioned it. So
this was the dream, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody.
And so, I mean, that is it for FUNalysis for the 2018 year. It's been a really great year. I'm going all the way back to kickoff. Mason, Nick, and I breaking down the game. We had a lot of fun doing that and just seeing how strategies advance doing the MCC stuff. We hope to do all that stuff again this year, breaking down Deep Space Voyager. What's the game name again? Deep Space?
Deep Space.
Destination Deep Space.
Destination Deep Space. Yes. And
Don't
so
forget that colon.
It's going to be a really good time. I'm First has put out a lot of good games recently, and I predict that they're going to put out another good game in just a few weeks. So we'll be here breaking it all down for you from start to finish, all the way down to the Detroit Championship, IRI, and beyond.
Thank you to all of our co-executive producers, keeping fun loud, live, and independent. Pledge your support at patreon.com/first updates now.